know if Tony was setting a trend on that to walk around the room. So guys, welcome this morning. Super excited to be here, and thank you. Share some nuggets of gold with you. So when you prepare for these things, you never really know who your audience is going to be. I thought today was going to be a lot of Family First Life agents, and I do my typical spiel about how to set intentional appointments. Well, when Joe had us do the speed dating round, I realized that there's not that many Family First Life agents here, so I had to redo what I was going to talk to you about today. So I want to get your permission if I can do an icebreaker with you about a story that hopefully will be equally hilarious and respectable. So my first taste of recruiting happened at my first company that I worked at. And I don't know if any of you are like me, this is not your first insurance gig. And the first one that I had, I didn't love it. I liked it in the beginning, and then it got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I got myself in a little bit of trouble, so I'm one of those people, Tony, that had to put yes on the back of the application. And I was put in timeout for a week. And when I was in timeout, I realized that that was better than going back to work at the last insurance company that I was at. So I asked for some paper and a pen, and I wrote a business plan. And I spent 3 days recruiting agents from timeout. And when I got out of timeout, by the way, is just a little rinky-dink local jail. And this is the icebreaker, just so you know we're here today. But that was 12 years ago. And I was recruiting agents while I was in there, and I got out, and 55 agents left, and we started another final expense company. And that was the first taste that I had in life insurance recruiting. So now that that's out there, I want to talk about a speech that I heard, I want to say 10 years ago, and it had a huge impact on me. And I hope that it has an equal impact on y'all. Have any of you heard the Albert Gray speech, Common Denominator of Success? Anybody? Nobody has. Okay. So as a show of hands, who's here in life insurance? Okay, so a lot more than I thought. And then what about on the P&C side? Okay, property and casualty. And there's some real estate guys here too. So Albert Gray's speech was called the Common Denominator of Success. This was given about 20 years, or in 1920, to a group of life insurance salespeople. And the principles in 1920 are so transferable today that I thought this is what I should cover. Now, the common denominator of success is not your last name, not the college that you went to, not the connections that you made, not your pedigree, nothing, except that people that are successful are willing to do all of the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do and make a habit of doing them well. So I can't speak to the P&C side of things, I can't speak to the health side, but what I can speak to is talking about building the foundational habits to create success and consistency in your business, no matter what marketplace you're working in, whether it's health, whether it's life, whether it's P&C. So here's what I know. Nobody likes the phones. The phones have never been anybody's best friend until they become your best friend. You gotta love the phones, they love you back, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on them. Now, something that I've always been able to do really well is set appointments in a very intentional way to create high intent appointments. Now, this has changed a lot over the years because we used to do everything face-to-face and now it's gone virtual. But what I decided to do was to spend more time in the beginning on the phone to be able to set better appointments. So for example, what's your name? Wendell, are you in life insurance now? So are you working with FFL? Okay, how long have you been with us? A year this month, congratulations, that's awesome. This guy, round of applause. So surviving a year in the business is a big deal. It's a big deal. So what types of leads do you run? Now I feel like I can gear this back to what I'm actually good at presenting since there's so many life insurance people here now. Okay, have you ever run like the with beneficiary leads? Those are pretty good, right? Have you ever run mortgage protection? Okay, who in here has run mortgage protection? Okay, who in here would like to run mortgage protection leads but is a little intimidated by the approach towards them? Not that many people, tough crowd today. All right, well, in that case, I'll still go through with you some high intent, like, where's Matt Borsch at? Matt Borsch is there, there's a guy, Alex, where are you at, Alex? So the people that have watched some of my stuff know that if you take a very confident approach towards mortgage protection, you're gonna be able to set a ton of business. And like Yak said, I did write about $1 million of business my last year. So I ran a different schedule, and the reason I wrote a different schedule is because I wanted to see people and they could be seen. Now this could be very direct. This could be the same for final expense leads, internet leads, whatever you're doing. But I think there is a push now where people are going back into the field, not just doing all telesales. So, and tell me your name one more time. Wendell. So if I'm going to set an in-home appointment with you, let's just say it's a mortgage protection lead. This is something that I decided I was going to do. So I'd be like, ring, ring. Hello. Hey, Wendell. Hey, Wendell, Rob Richman. I'm giving you a call about the mortgage protection response card. You sent in your loan through Chase. How are you? You're doing good. Perfect. So I'm calling you because this is the type of coverage where if anything happens to you or your wife, the mortgage is fully paid off for your family. And that's what y'all were looking for, right?
I don't remember filling that out.
Let's not do a workshop and rebuttals right now. Let's do easy intent to purchase. Hey, look, I haven't been sold in 2 years. But anyway, back to that. Well, you filled out the card. It has your handwriting on it. You probably just forgot, or maybe your wife did it. Anyways, it's the type of coverage where if anything happens to you, the mortgage is paid off your family. And that's what you're looking for, right? All right, so just need to verify a little bit of information here. I'll have you right off the phone. Okay, so got your name is this, got your address is 123 Main Street in San Antonio, is that correct? Now the amount of the loan here for you is $130,000, is that correct? Perfect. Was that a refinance for you or a new home purchase? Congratulations. Do you love it? Feel like home yet? Are you still walking into walls in the middle of the night? That's what you're supposed to do, is laugh. And you want to be a human. The point of this is, y'all get to it, but you want to be a person. So if you're still walking into walls in the middle of the night, you feel like home. All right, good. So ballpark for me what the new monthly mortgage payment is on that.
Right now I'm looking at
Okay, perfect. You set that up over 15 or 20 years? 20 years, 15 or 30 years, excuse me. So, and then I have your date of birth is 4686 and your wife is, 5/20/1990. Perfect. So I get a ton of these response cards each week, so I have to do a little bit of screening with you here health-wise. Tell me this. For the most part, Wendell, you in pretty good health? Yeah. Young, healthy, last 7 years, no heart attacks, strokes, cancer, COPD, nothing like that. All right, perfect. What about the small stuff? Anything for preventative, high blood pressure, cholesterol, thyroid, anxiety? What about your wife? No problem. So the reason I was asking all those questions, Wendell, is because I'm a broker. So what that means for you is I'm going to be able to shop and customize the best plan to not only fit your situation, but most importantly, your budget. So what I do with all my clients is set up 15, 20 minutes at the most, get together with you, go over all your options, answer your questions, of course. Look, if I can show you something you like, great. And if not, no problem. Fair enough? So on here it says best time to catch is around 6 o'clock. Is that when you're getting home from work, or is that when you're getting off? Now, are you the kind of people that like to have dinner first and relax? You like to get business out of the way and then have the night to yourself? All right, perfect. So I can get out and see you tomorrow around 5:45, or we can do some at 8 o'clock the following day. Which one of those is going to work better for you? Today. Well, I can't do it today. I'm setting appointments today. So tomorrow or the following day? Tomorrow, perfect. So before I have you off the phone, I'm going to shoot you over a picture of my business card, day and time we're getting together. Of course, life does happen. However, is there anything that you can foresee coming up where you wouldn't be able to make it? And then address to your house, where am I going to find those? In the house, the mailbox, or the curb? It'll be on both. All right, cool. Since we're getting together around 6 o'clock, it's dark now. Can you leave a light on for me? And I'll say, like, can I park in your driveway? Whatever. Anyway, the point of that is that it's a super intentional presentation, or phone pitch. So if you don't send me a text message and you're there, you're ready to buy. Now, in the beginning, when I was running CRM leads, here's tying this back to doing the things you don't want to do. I wasn't setting 25 appointments a week, making 50 phone calls. Now, of the agents in here, all the people that raise their hand, are y'all mostly working for FFL? Raise your hand if you're working for FFL. Okay, so like everybody. All right, awesome. Thanks for being here. So we know dial days, we go to war, right? These are the days where, if you have brand new leads, it's a little bit different. But if you're like most agents, we're working CRM, we're working with aged leads, stuff like that. We know there's a very particular mindset that you have to have going into Mondays and Thursdays if you're setting appointments to go in home. Now, for me, I knew that going right off the bat. So setting the proper expectation that it wasn't going to be fun on Monday and Thursday. However, most people don't like their job 5 out of 5 days a week. I was very okay with just not liking my job Monday and Thursday and loving my job Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday when I was running in the field. So I was willing to make that sacrifice. So Y'all have to be willing to make 1,000,000 phone calls. Those of you, like, so Wendell, you've been in the business for a year. So I'm picking on you, you're just right there making eye contact. You're like the guy on Zoom that is just like right there. For you, for example, what do you say your average week is in production?
My average week is usually, I would say I usually try to run at least 5.
Right, 5,000? Okay, perfect. And how many appointments are you running?
I would say I try to have at least 25 presentations every week.
You give 25 prezos a week?
As a goal, yeah.
That's awesome. How often do you hit 25 prezos a week?
I've been doing virtual, and I would say I hit it almost every week. It's more difficult virtual.
That's amazing, dude. So there's a lot of agents that don't actually give 25 presentations a week, and they don't hit the 25 appointments a week because they get tired of buying leads or they give up on the phones and they just don't feel like it. So for you, this is awesome. You just got to get better at what you're doing, and then you'll be doing 10,000 no problem with 25 appointments a week. So the thing is you got to give up to get up in this business. And I'll stop staring at you because it's getting weird now, right? It's really, I'm giving a presentation to you. We got 400 people in here. The thing is when you're new in the business and you're getting into, and how many of you are new? Like, raise your hand if you're like in your first 90 days here selling. So 30, no, so half the hands went down when I said you new in our first 90 days. All right, anyway, so if you're trying to get better in the business, you need to have more expectations for yourself. So for you, I guess, Wendell, I'll go back to you. You buying leads every week to get that activity. Do you ever not want to buy leads because it's just you didn't have the best week and you're like, I just don't want to do it this week? But the thing is if you want consistently, you have to consistently do the same activities over and over and over again, and you will get better results over time. So one thing that I struggled with in the beginning is at other companies I worked with, the cost, like if you spent $400 a week in leads, you were like a big spender. When I came over here, I made the conscious decision I was going to spend $2,500 a week, but at other companies, I was writing $5,000 or $7,000 a week. Here, 75 weeks in a row created consistency to be between 24 and 27,000 in every single week in submitted business. And that didn't come by accident. That came by creating the effective habits of doing things I didn't want to do. Number one was buying leads every single week. Nobody gets excited about buying leads in the beginning. It's always tough. But if you believe and understand that the leads that you're buying you're not buying leads, you're buying income. You're buying revenue. So if you can shift your mindset from this is an expense to this is actually revenue for my business, it becomes less of a grudge purchase. It becomes something that you want to do, that you look forward to doing. That took me about 3 months in the business to get used to spending that much without being afraid to do it. Once you have the leads in your hand, then you can't be afraid to dial. The phone weighs 100 pounds until it doesn't. So everybody that starts in here is never like, hey, man, I just can't wait to dial 400 dials today. That doesn't happen. Right? It doesn't say, you don't say, hey, I want to burn 2 iPhone batteries every dial day. That's what I did. I didn't count my dials. I counted the amount of phone batteries that I'd burn in a day. And that was the only way that I could measure it. And I think that you got to have this kind of mentality towards getting results, that you don't want to be the person that just dials the numbers, just to dial the numbers. You want to dial the numbers to get the results that you need to hit your goals every single week. So number one is the leads. You got to get used to spending money on the leads and create the habit of doing that. Unsuccessful people in this business don't buy leads. They're like, I'll do it myself. I'll generate a warm market. I will do whatever it takes to not spend money on my business. That is not a winning mindset. That is not how to become successful here. Number two, you got to put in the time to be successful. You got to put in the time to get good on the phones. If you don't put in the time in the dials, you're not going to have the activity. I was talking to John the other day, and I was frustrated. I'm like, hey, I just need someone to talk to and punch me in the face with reality here. It's like, he's like, you're a really good salesperson. Your people will not be able to close 3 out of 4 people. So how do you convey to them that 1 out of 10 is okay? 1 out of 10 is winning, because if we strive to have 10 conversations a day and we just close 1 of those appointments, our average deal size is $100 a month. You do that 5 days a week, that's $6K in production. That's what you're doing. But if you tell yourself, hey, I did all these, every single appointment, every single presentation that I give needs to translate into a sale, that does nothing but kill your mindset. And the more destructive you are with yourself, the more destructive your results are going to come, and you're going to burn out and not be in the business. So that's why I was like, clap for you, because you were in the business for a year. If you get through your first 6 months, you're sticking around for the most part. If you survive a year, you're profitable. Otherwise, you're not paid enough to do this. I've always said this is the highest paying, easiest job in the world, or the lowest paying, hardest job you will ever have in your life. And it depends 100% on how you approach this thing. So moving past some of those habits, which are buying the leads, dialing, always going to your last appointment, giving the presentations, learning product, being coachable, then what happens if it doesn't work 1 week? Well, you got to be tougher than just 1 week. The first 30 days in this business are pivotal. It's not the first week. I don't know how many of you are your first month in the business. Is there anybody in here that's just first month in the business? You are. How'd it go? First week, have you been on the phones yet? Okay, so I hope tomorrow. That's awesome, man. What's your name? All right, Dominic, well, congratulations on getting into the business. We can clap. Some of you are going to clap for him, so that's awesome. So for you, and anybody that is you, just not you, just in the same position as you, that didn't want to raise their hand, this first week is a learning experience. As long as you bought the leads and you're set up to dial the phones and you got your head in the right place, who cares about the results this week as long as you learned? Obviously, it's ideal if you get a sale. But the idea is you got to get yourself for those first 30 days to create the momentum, building in those habits. Now, once you become a top producer in this business, then the natural progression is then to build a business. Yeah, how am I doing on time? I actually lost track of it. I think I got 10 minutes or so. I'm good? All right, perfect. Now, I want to talk a little bit about getting to the point that's called past failure. Now, once you produce at a high level and you're consistently producing at a high level, then you go into recruiting. And recruiting is so different. Like Tony was mentioning, we want to talk about scale and building and how do we ramp up and how do we get out of just me being the only person that's generating revenue for my business? How do we bring people into it and then have the proper expectations for them? Well, producing is instant gratification. Who here is thinking about building a team? And some of you are already building teams, I'm sure. There's some huge groups here. For those of you that are thinking about building a team, that are just not pulling the trigger, you got to understand that set the proper expectation for yourself. You know, we buy an instant internet lead and we sell it, we get a commission the next day. Well, you start talking to somebody about this opportunity, it doesn't put money into your bank account the next day, and you can't lose the faith in what this is going to do. I was doing that for a year, was stuck in the mud. We had, 6 or 7 agents in 2019. I was doing $80,000 a month. The rest of the team was doing $70,000 a month. And I was trying to create many versions of what I was doing. And that didn't work because I wouldn't want anybody to have what goes on in my head doing $80,000 a month anyway. But I wasn't meeting people where they were at. And meeting people where they're at when you're recruiting is so important. Then you won't have an expectation for them other than what exactly they want to do. And then you can meet them exactly where they're at to help back into their goals. Now, when you're recruiting, you got to understand this is a process. You got to train people. Not everybody's going to be successful. So if recruiting and you bring an agent into this deal, it's kind of like buying a really high intent lead. It's like a hot lead. Not every single hot lead is going to qualify for insurance. Not every hot lead is going to buy. Maybe something came up down the road that charged back. You know, when you're recruiting and you're bringing people into this deal, it's very similar to that. Not every single person that you pour your heart and soul into and your time and your resource and your energy, not every single one is going to convert. But a lot of them will if you do it the right way. Point being, you got to be patient with this thing. Got to be patient with this thing and then hire the right people that you want to work with. And we were able to take our business from $150,000 a month to $1.2 million in about 11 months in 2020, which was a incredible ramp up. And there's just, well, thanks. But there's things that you have to understand you're going to deal with when you're building a team that aren't all fun. Now, this business ain't all Skittles and rainbows. At the end of the month, when you look at your deposits, it becomes that way. But it's all about impacting lives in that whole deal. But sometimes there are things that you deal with. When you're building a team, you got debt roll up. Don't let it put you out of business. You got people that are going to break your heart that you pour into that aren't going to do anything, that decide, hey, look, this ain't for me. And you think they're the guy. You've got to find enough people that are willing to work hard so you don't put all your stock in just one person. The faster that you get out of that and put all the attention on one and put it on everybody, the faster your business will absolutely take off, and you'll look back a year later and not know how it got to where it was. Now, guys, I don't want to go over my time. I don't want to ramble up here. I wanted to talk through just a couple of things about the habits, never giving up and doing your best and sticking to it. Appreciate your time, guys. Thanks so much for coming.